So we're here on Hungry Hill and we've got Ruth, one of our sellers, and this is going to be a garden tour to show off the gardening and the landscaping and give you a feel for the grounds. And we'll supplement this in with the professional video tours. Ruth, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us.
I'd love to.
So let's take a look around. Let's have you show off all the hard work you've done over the decades on this gorgeous property.
Well, all right, now we're looking primarily at the front rose bed, and most of those are ones that have fragrance. As you walk out the door and along the bed, you get all of the perfume on those roses. They aren't all as fragrant as those are, but most of those are particularly fragrant. So it's this wonderful feeling as you walk by and you smell the roses.
Okay.
And then the other plants are rhododendrons. Most of the camellias now have finished blooming. We're down to rhododendrons. And the roses are coming along. But there's always color. There's
Excellent.
color basically 10 to 11 months of the year if you call fall foliage color.
We do. Where should we go next as we walk around?
Okay, well, why don't we walk toward the flower bed?
Okay.
The flower bed is all perennials. Well, no, one year I planted some marigolds, and the marigolds will self-sow. So I have marigolds that come up every year just on their own. And I like to bring cut flowers into the house and to give them to other people. And so I have a bed that is filled with flowers that make wonderful arrangements. Right now, the columbine is in bloom. It's always the first. And the blooms go until frost finally means that they can't continue to flourish.
And that's just these right down
The
here,
ones,
right?
everything in bloom in the bed, as opposed to the background,
Okay.
are columbine.
Okay. And then right here we've got more rhododendrons. And do you know what kind of tree this is?
Yes, flowering plum.
Flowering plum in the center.
And the iris, I'm not quite sure where the iris came from. It was never planted there. It just kind of appeared.
And that's the yellow iris we're seeing.
That's the yellow iris
in the center.
Exactly. And there are quite a few camellias. The plants that are shrubs that don't have blossoms on them are all camellias.
Okay, right in the center there, next to the rhododendron.
That one, and then all along the what we call lower garage.
Okay. And we've got, are they grapes that are along that fence line?
Those are grapes, and those are what I call juice grapes. They have seeds in them.
Okay.
And I have a lot of grape juice that we consume from that.
What do you do with your grape juice?
Store it. We still have probably 20 quarts.
All right, excellent.
And this is a later rhododendron. That also, a lot of the rhododendrons are in bloom, but I have ones from one that blooms actually even as early as December, usually in January. And my last rhododendron is in bloom usually in the 1st of July. So I've spanned the season and then some. And that one will bloom in another month.
Excellent.
But they run, I purposely planted to have them as long as I could to have some bloom.
And I noticed that we've got a lot of irrigation set up down here. Can you tell us a little bit more about the irrigation setup on the
Yes,
property?
well, we have irrigation on all of the beds. And back here, the rainbirds that you can probably see. And then we also have, for instance, on the rose bed down here, there are a low sprinkler that rather than rainbirds. But we have some sprinklers are ground level and some are rainbirds that are elevated, depending upon what they're watering.
Okay. All right, so for a gardening novice like me, they're going to be hard to see, but there are these sprinkler heads that are elevated periodically, and they irrigate this entire area, all these beds, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then the
ones that are
ones
low
down here?
at the back of the rose bed by the house only get the the rose bed and a little of the lawn. And particular rainbird, I think, is on the rose bed, isn't it, John? The one at the corner.
It goes to there and then it goes up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
We have
So it's
sprinklers behind
basically little ones, but it includes this.
Okay, so everything's irrigated here. Yeah,
The plantings are irrigated.
the plantings, not the
Not
grass
lawn,
that we're standing
not the
on,
lawn. Well,
but the plantings.
part of the lawn.
Okay.
These rainbirds get the lawn as well.
Okay.
It just depends upon where in terms of lawn.
And Ruth, you and John were telling me about how we've got well water, obviously, but that you've also got a bonus well at the bottom of the acreage, right? So
When we bought the house, that was the well.
let's point at that for just a second.
And it's all the way down by the road.
Okay.
And that was the original well. It's that little box-like right by the road. And the only time that it's been used in the last 20 years at least was when the neighbors lost their well and they used ours.
Okay.
So, but it is a workable well, but you have to pump water from the water source up the hill from that one, whereas now we are using one on the level of the house, and we just pump it from the water source.
Excellent. So that's a really useful supplemental well for the lower acreage livestock if needed.
Yes, we've had livestock on it. You can have water from that well having a water tub, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Your maple looks great. We timed this very well.
Right. Well, and this is yellow foliage in the fall. It's an Acer palmatum, and has a very, you can't see now, but a very red bark on any new growth.
You're right, I do see that.
So it has a very interesting winter profile, and in the fall it has a very bright yellow foliage.
Love it. All right, place is looking great. Should we go uphill?
And you can see the road, right along here, these are azaleas, and they've already bloomed. You have a couple of blossoms, but by and large, they're through blooming before the rhododendrons start in.
Okay. All right, let's go up the hill a little. Flower garden, it really is looking great right now. So there's the roses. And of course the front again. You've got your own grove with rhodey garden. It's gorgeous.
Well, all of these trees were planted, we'd been here maybe 5 years, and bought little seedlings at a Lynn County Small Woodlands Association sale, and they were probably 6 to 12 inches at that point, and planted them on the hill. We've thinned quite a bit, and our daughter mentioned, youngest daughter, that we paid her 25 cents a tree to water them by hand when we first put them in many years ago.
So that was when you had been here for 5 years, not 5 years ago. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
when we'd been here for 5. Maybe, that's a guess.
Now, something that's really great about this particular property for the gardener in you is that we've got essentially 20 acres, and this is actually deer fenced. And this garden that we're approaching here is deer fenced as well. It's deer fencing within deer fencing, right?
Correct.
So it's double deer fenced.
And now we're approaching the raspberries.
Yeah.
And these are what are called perennial, or well, there's another word for it. But what I do is I cut them down
Oh, she's good.
to the ground in late February, And then these, the primary canes, will have fruit in August.
Okay.
And that's the big crop. And we don't have the June or July crop by doing it that way, and it works out better for us.
Okay.
And you can see the crimson clover in the garden. This is the vegetable garden. It's been planted to enrich the soil. You see the asparagus that is there as a permanent perennial, I guess we can call it. There are a lot of herbs in the garden. We have rhubarb, and here in the next to the rhubarb, those are all little volunteers from letting dill go to seed, and so I don't have to plant it. It just takes care of itself.
So that's the rhubarb.
And then down in the ground is all those are dill. I'll have to thin them
The dill coming up.
coming up.
And then we have asparagus patch front and center right there.
Correct. And
Yeah.
then we have 2 volunteers, and I've noticed that they are a purple asparagus. I don't quite know why, because they came from seeds from the standard green.
Okay.
Maybe
And
you
I
have
use a lot of-
mutation you can sell.
Use a lot of leaf for mulch over the winter, and I have a couple of raised beds. The soil heats up faster in the spring in the raised beds, and the hoops were put in to be able to put protection, but I haven't had really much use for it. I'm letting not shallots, the green onions go to seed, because then they plant themselves and I don't have to. And what's at the south end of the other raised bed over there are garlic that I planted last fall.
Are those the greens that are coming up?
The ones that are
By
at
the
the
cinder
end,
block bed?
that's garlic.
Okay, so that's right in the center there. Got it.
Right. And that's a peach tree, and we have another peach tree behind the greenhouse there. And then if you notice the little low, it's about a foot tall, that is all a weed for butterflies.
Oh, okay.
And
But
so,
right below the peach tree?
right, you can see it particularly to the right of the peach tree. Behind it you see tarragon and rosemary and sage, and in the foreground there's some thyme.
Okay.
A lot of perennial herbs. And then the berries are loganberry, and they are available in late June, basically, maybe into early July. They precede the raspberries, and both are perishable, particularly raspberries, and so growing your own is the way to go.
Gotcha. And as will be shown in the professional photography, we've got this lovely little greenhouse here, which does...
There's a grow light there. It will stay with the property.
Okay.
And it was a custom-built greenhouse. It allows doing your variety, your choice of seeds, as opposed to what the nursery wants to stock.
Yes.
And you can get them started in the ground early.
It's great to be able to have that kind of an option. And we've got empty fuel tanks here for convenience, for tractors and equipment. And then this is the pig pen back here, right?
This was a pig barn.
Was the pig barn, okay.
Yes. And it's set up to be able to have animals in there with their own automatic watering supply. There's a connection from a hose to a spigot, and they can go up to the spigot and drink their water.
Okay. And John did a lot of connections like that.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
yes.
We've got a lot of...
There's a lot of detail that doesn't really show as much. But once you start having to have water places, you appreciate all of the faucets and
Yes,
the supply.
absolutely.
And here we have pear trees, fig tree, and these are table grapes as opposed to the juice grapes down the hill.
So pear trees would be these two,
The
right?
two,
And then in the foreground right here, we've got the fig tree.
the fig tree.
And then irises right behind it, right?
Right.
And then these, what I was about to call espalier trees, these are more grapes?
Pardon me?
These are more grapes?
These are grapes, but these are seedless. I call
Seedless
them
grapes.
table grapes.
Okay.
I don't remember why the car's up here. I don't know why.
And come to think of it, we're going to show this in the drone work, but you guys, you have land that keeps going uphill. And can you tell us a little bit about the forest plantings that are up there as well?
Well, what's here is absolutely original, but the hill goes up, and then again there's a flat spot,
Okay.
so that we have three totally different level areas on the property. And at the far north end, there are about 10 acres of standing timber, all of which John planted. And it's now maybe, John, 20 years?
Probably at least.
About 20 years.
Okay.
And that's on the far northern end of the property.
Okay.
And then these are primarily Oregon maple. I can see an oak here, but most of them are maple on the slope, and the ubiquitous blackberry.
The ubiquitous blackberry, indeed.
The birds plant them for you.
That's very gracious of them. We've got a number of outbuildings here too. So we've got probably 4 or 5 cords worth of wood stacked, and some equipment that we'll have to draw up a list and figure out what's to be sellable with the property. What a future owner might want. Thank you.
I would love to sell a lot of stuff to the future owner at a good price,
Yeah.
and it'd be way less than what he'd pay if he had to buy new.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
Yeah. So we've got tractors, 4-wheelers. We've got this really cool truck here. We'll put together some detailed information. But while I'm here, I will try to hold the camera up high enough to show off some of these things.
The 8N has been overhauled, the tractor, and the truck has been overhauled. They're both in A1 condition.
Excellent.
oh,
Show that
okay,
off while we're here
sure.
too. Oh, we've got the log splitter right there too. Wait, is this log splitter?
It is a log splitter,
Okay.
and our intent is for that to.
Log splitter,
Be available.
Log splitter is A1.
That's even new.
Yeah, it's
Ish.
A1.
That's a split master, the Spico split master right there. Yeah. And you can see it works. All right, let's go back down the hill. We'll wrap up
The
there.
lawnmower is questionable.
The green lawnmower with the hood up is questionable. Fair enough.
And the Douglas fir trees create copious cones, and I'm using them here as weed control.
Oh, right along here on the border. Okay.
Right, right, because unlike bark dust, they're free, and, and they do the job.
Makes sense. And this will give the viewer a nice look as we go back down the hill too. And this grass on the other side of the deer fence, this is not part of this property, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And some of the trees that we planted started getting so large and tall that they were shading the garden. And
Oh.
so we've taken out part of those trees that were planted 20 or whenever it was years ago.
And we
Gotcha.
thinned the trees years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
And there are
good.
a couple of those shorter ones are spruce. And they're there because I use them for making wreaths and decorations for the holidays.
Oh, you make wreaths out of those small spruces? I love it.
Well, they're part of them. Most of what I use are up by the uphill grapes, which are a form of fir that never seems to lose its needles. And so I use those and make centerpieces and different Christmas decorations.
Excellent.
And there are a lot of miscellaneous things like juniper that provide novelty greens in the And you see, this is one of the early rhododendrons, and so it's completely had its bloom, and the new growth has come on.
Okay, so these early rhododendrons give you a view right out of your dining room.
And kitchen.
And kitchen.
Exactly.
Love it. All right. Shall we go downhill then? We'll just wrap up
Okay.
at this barn. And
And these are two apple trees.
I was just about to ask. Two
We
apple?
had mature apple trees here, which we took out. These are newer varieties, and we taste tested everything in the market, and we decided we liked these the best. So these are quite young, but they are bearing.
Do you know what kind they are?
Yes, one is a gala, and one is pink lady.
Gala and Pink Lady.
We might want to point out the faucet. We have irrigation on the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have irrigation all over on the
so,
property.
So right there by the base of that apple tree, you can see
Right,
another example of
exactly.
the copious irrigation that's been installed
Yeah.
for your benefit. Yeah. And this is fully fenced. We've got a gate right here at the top of the driveway.
This would be large enough for even 2 RVs, actually,
Yeah, this is great
it's-
RV storage.
and for good storage for everything that you need to be wanting undercover, but not in the house.
Excellent. And we've got a door going out here as well for convenience of landscaping. Oop. So we've got camellia again and rhodies. And the view of the day.